Very good morning. So, in last session, I just gave the introduction to concepts. Now, I'll explain what are the features we have in Linux. Why people are switching to Linux operating system. Means there are some features. Means advantages are there in Linux. So, first is open source. Open source means source code we get along with the operating system. Open source is open to everyone. So, no need to purchase license key. Directly we can download and we can install Linux operating system. That is advantage only. No need to pay for anyone for the operating system license. Right. Next is multitasking. Multiple applications can be processed at a time. But this feature is there in most of the operating system. We have same in Linux also. First is open source. Source code we get along with operating system. Operating system is free to everyone. And we get write option also with source code. If you want to modify the operating system also, you can modify the operating system if you want. Okay. So next is multiple tasking it can perform. Most of the operating system can do multitasking. So Linux also can perform multitasking. And next one is multi-users. In Linux, multiple users can log in at a time. See, we have different type of operating systems. First, I'll tell about that. In operating system, we have types like single user, single task, single user, multitask, and multi-user, multitask. So there are three types of operating system. Single user, single task means only one user can log in and that user can perform only one task. If they open one application, in the same time they want to open another application, they cannot open. It can perform only one task. Okay, so example is DOS, disk operating system. This is the first type of operating system. Here, only one user can log in and that user can perform only one task. And next one is single user multitask. Here also, how many users list it is displaying. Still, only one user can log in, but that user can perform multiple tasking. If they open one application, at the same time, they want to open another application, they want to listen the songs, they want to watch the movie, they can do. Multiple tasks they can perform, but only one user can log in at a time. If they want to log in into another user, first they log out from one user, then they log in into another user. That is called single user multitasking. Example, Windows. And next one is multi-user multitasking. Here, multiple users can log in at a time. Multiple users can log in at a time. Every user can perform multiple tasks. At a time here, 40,000 users can log in and they can perform multiple tasks also. But we don't log in practically those many number of users. We get confusion, but it is possible. Example is Linux. In Linux, multiple users can log in and they can perform multiple tasks also. So that is also advantage of Linux. So first is open source. Source code we get along with operating system. So operating system is free to everyone. Everyone can download and install the operating system. No need to pay for the operating system. That is one advantage. Okay. And if you know C++ 100%, you can also edit the source code. We don't do that, but if you want, you can edit the source code also. And multiple users can log in and every user can perform multiple tasks. That is also advantage there. Multi-user, multitasking. See, I'm going with my flow. I'll go slow only. But if any point is not clear, or if you want me to repeat any point, you can ask me. I will explain. Okay. Otherwise, I'll go with my flow. And next one is portability. Portability means can be installed on all hardware architecture. We don't require any specific hardware environment. Like if you have AIX server, it requires IBM architecture. If IBM hardware is there, then only we can install AIX server. Like that, some operating systems require specific hardware environment, but Linux can be installed in any hardware environment. Even Windows also can be installed in any hardware environment. Linux, if you have least hardware environment, like 512 MB RAM is a 10 GB hard disk is there also, you can go with Linux operating system. That is also advantage of Linux. You're getting right, Reddy? Points you're getting right? So next is scalability. Same operating system can be installed on normal desktop PC to supercomputer. Operating system is same. Okay, so normal desktop PC to supercomputer. We can use same operating system. We don't have separate operating systems like server operating system, client operating systems like that. In Windows means we have 95, 98, ME, NT, XP, Vista, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11. These are client operating systems. Server operating systems are separate again like NT 2000, 2003, 2008 to 2012, 2016, 17 like that. So server operating systems are different, client operating systems are different. But in Linux, we have same operating system. So no need to learn different operating systems. No, nothing confusion here. So what you are learning practically here in labs, what you are learning, same operating system we use in real time also. Okay, that is also advantage here. And we can trust Linux operating system because no downtime, 24/7. It works without restarting the computer. Without restarting the computer, we can update everything in Linux. That is advantage. That is also advantage of Linux. And Linux is secure because in Linux inbuilt IP tables are there. IP tables means firewalls. Even in Windows, we have firewalls. If you want, you can enable, you can disable. That is depends on the requirement. Inbuilt IP tables are there. IP tables are used to secure networking files. And SC Linux also there, which is used to secure local files. Okay, so Linux is secure inbuilt IP tables and SC Linux is there to secure our networking files and local files. And another point, Linux is secure because it works with command line interface. So those who know commands, they only can configure something in Linux machine. If you want to configure something, even if you want to create a file, if you want to add content into file also, we need commands. Without knowing commands, we cannot configure anything in Linux machines. Okay, so that is also advantage of Linux. It works with command line interface and Linux is secure because for every user password authentication is compulsory. Without passwords, we cannot log in into any user account. In Windows means if you don't have password while creating the user, if you don't create password, no problem. When you are logging, it will allow you to log in into the computer without password. But in Linux, it is not like that. Without password, we cannot access any user account. Password authentication is compulsory for every user. That is also a reason why Linux is secure. And we can encrypt a file by assigning password. See, after creating a file, we can encrypt a file by assigning password. Encryption means converting the original data into secure format, which no one can understand. How we do that means by assigning password. So how to assign the password, that I will show practically in further classes. So Linux is secure. We can encrypt a file by assigning password. Once a file is encrypted by assigning password, if someone else is trying to check the content of your file, it will display the content in encrypted format, which no one can understand. If they try to open our file, it will ask for the password. So without password, no one can open our file. How we do that, I will show practically that. So that is also one reason why Linux is secure. Okay, so Linux is secure because it doesn't support exe files. Linux is secure because it doesn't support exe files. Linux is secure because there is no setup files, no next finish. Everything we get as a configuration file. We need to configure everything manually. If you want to configure servers, if you want to configure something application, manually we configure it. We write the information. Whatever we add it manually as an administrator, our system accepts that only. So that is also one reason why Linux is secure. These all points practically in Linux administration course we'll discuss. I will show you. Some points here also in our class also I will show practically. So these are the few reasons why Linux is secure. I'm repeating. Linux is secure because inbuilt IP tables are there and SC Linux is there. IP tables are used to secure networking files. SC Linux is used to secure local files. Linux is secure because it doesn't support exe files. No next finish, no auto runs. Linux is secure because we can encrypt a file by assigning password. Linux is secure because for every user, password authentication is compulsory. Linux is secure because it works with command line interface only. Linux is secure because for there is no setup files, everything we get as a configuration file. These are the few reasons why Linux is secure. And Linux performance wise comparing to Windows, Linux is fast also because Linux works with command line interface, black screen with white fonts. So it doesn't require more graphics. So graphic card work is less here. So processor works fast. Also in Linux, there is a swap memory, means virtual memory, which is used to increase the performance of RAM speed. Okay, so what is swap? In next classes, I will show. And there is a kernel also, inbuilt kernel also there, which is an interface between shell and hardware. So before transferring the data to hardware environment, first kernel checks the data, whether the data is supported by hardware environment or not. If the data is supported by our hardware, then only transfers the data to hardware. If something is coming which is not supported by hardware environment, it rejects back. About this kernel, so in shell classes, I will explain. So these are the few reasons why Linux is secure. These points I will show practically also. Is these points are clear, Reddy? The points which I explained theoretically are clear. Screen not visible. Is it visible? Is it visible now? And these points, whatever the points I explained now as features of Linux, these points, I will make a note and I will share with you on Telegram group. Once you registered with this course, ask them for the Telegram group. You will get the Telegram group. So there I will share the notes also. So you can read from there. After explaining file system hierarchy standard, then I will show how to install the operating system in next session. Okay, file system hierarchy standard. Means what are the default directories we get along with the operating system? That I'll explain now. Okay. In Windows, A and B are reserved for floppy. Right. Whether we are using or not, A and B are reserved for floppy. It starts creating the address from C. So once you open C drive, there you can see default folders like downloads, documents, library, administrator, user, some folders we can see directly by default. Same like that in Linux also. After entering to the operating system, we can see default directories. In Windows, we call folder. In Linux, we call directory. Only name is different. Okay. So what are the default directories we get along with the operating system? That I'm explaining now. So these are the default directories we get along with the operating system. Forward slash. First one is forward slash. Forward slash is a top level directory in Linux. It is also called as parent directory. Forward slash. It is a parent directory or top level directory in Linux. And this forward slash is similar to C drive in Windows. Forward slash is similar to C drive in Windows. Okay. So like it is primary. In Windows, C is compulsory partition, right? So same like that in Linux, forward slash is compulsory. So under forward slash, we have subdirectories. Directory means folder, remember. So forward slash, it is a parent directory or top level directory in Linux. Okay, so it is similar to C in Windows. Under forward slash, we have subdirectories. So the first subdirectory under forward slash is root. Root is the home directory for super user. Root is the home directory for super user. Super user is nothing but administrator. In Windows, we call administrator. In Linux, we call super user. So root is the home directory for super user. Means as a super user, if you log in into your computer and if you're creating any files or directories, then the data by default, it is going to store under root. So root is the home directory for super user. See, when I am explaining, if anything is doubt, anything is not clear, please ask me there itself. I will repeat it. One moment. Root is the home directory for super user. Super user means administrator. As a super user, if you log in into computer and if you're creating any files or directories, the data is going to store by default under root. Home is the home directory for normal user. As a normal user, we logged in into computer and we are creating any files or directories, the data is going to store under home. Here one more point. Once a user is created, along with the user, it automatically creates a directory also with same username. Where it creates means under home. So for example, now if you create a user Tom, immediately it creates a directory with same name Tom. Where it creates the directory means under home. So when Tom user logged in and Tom is creating any files or directories, the data is going to store under Tom's directory, which is under home. Now, you created a user Jack. Immediately it creates a directory Jack under home. So now in home directory, Tom directory is there, subdirectory. Jack directory is there. So when Jack user logged in, the data is going to store under Jack's directory. When Tom user is logged in, Tom's data is going to store under Tom's directory. Like that. I'm repeating. / it is a parent directory or top level directory in Linux. Okay, and / is similar to C in Windows. Under / this all the subdirectories. Root is the home directory for super user. Home is the home directory for normal user. Boot contains bootable files and kernel. Boot contains operating system bootable files and kernel. What is kernel? Means kernel is an interface between shell and hardware. It is an interface between shell and hardware. Before transferring the data to hardware environment, first kernel checks the data. It is a small software. It is a small software. Okay, so when we are giving any instructions, when you are connecting, say for example, if you connected a pen drive, the pen drive is infected with virus. Shell converts that virus into zeros and ones and it transfers to hardware environment. But what is in Linux? There is a concept called kernel. There is a software, small software called kernel. So when shell transfers the data, first kernel receives the data and kernel checks whether the data is supported by hardware environment or not. See, you connected a pen drive, the pen drive is infected with virus, shell converted that virus into zeros and ones and it transferred the data to kernel. Now what kernel do is, it will check virus is not required to hardware environment. If it doesn't require virus, so it resets back. One moment. So before transferring the data to hardware environments in Linux, always kernel checks the data, then only transfers the data to hardware environment. What is this kernel? We have separate class. At the time, I will explain about that. So boot contains bootable files and kernel. Up to RHEL version 6, kernel is stored under boot. Sbin contains super user commands, the commands which can be executed by super user. That commands are stored under sbin. Bin contains normal user commands, the commands which can be executed by normal user. That commands are stored under bin. USR contains default applications, which comes along with operating system. That application stores under USR. Okay. So var contains variable files, means system log files are stored under var. Like task manager in Windows. How many users are logged in? Which user is logged in at what time? What are the applications they are running? How much process they are using? How much CPU they used? RAM they used? Every information is maintained by var. Dev contains devices information. Devices means partitions information. In Windows, we call partition. In Linux, we call device. Dev contains devices information. I'm repeating again, / it is a parent directory or top level directory in Linux. Under / we have subdirectories and this / is similar to C in Windows. Root is the home directory for super user. Super user means administrator. Home is the home directory for normal user. Boot contains bootable files and kernel up to version 6. Sbin contains super user commands, the commands which can be executed by super user. That commands are stored under sbin directory. Bin contains normal user commands, the commands which can be executed by normal user. That commands are stored under bin. USR contains default applications, which comes along with operating system. That applications are stored under USR. Where contains variable files. System log files are stored under where. Dev contains devices information, means partition information is stored under dev. etc contains configuration files. System configuration files are stored under etc. Okay. So OPT contains optional applications, applications which we install manually. They are not compulsory to install, but if we want, we install them manually. Like if you want to install something softwares. So if you downloaded the softwares and if you install the software, means that softwares are going to store under OPT. Media contains external devices information up to version 6. External devices information means removable devices information like external hard disk, external DVD writers. Okay, so pen drives, that information is stored under media up to version 6. MNT contains partitions and their mounted directories information. MNT contains partitions and their mounted directories in information. In Linux, once a partition is created and formatted that partition, we cannot access the partition directly. In Linux means you can access the partition directly. Once a partition is created and formatted, you can install that partition directly. But in Linux, it is not possible. In Linux, once a partition is created and formatted the partition, next we create one directory and we link our newly created partition with this directory. That is called mounting. Giving a link between partition and directory is called mounting. Okay, so once a partition is linked with a directory, we can access the partition through the directory. Okay, if you want to create something, if you create the data in directory, means the data is going to store in your partition. If you delete something from your partition, if you delete something from your directory, the data is going to delete from your partition. If you want to check the content of your partition, means if you open your directory, it will show the content of your partition like that. Okay, so what is this mounting? How we mount the partition? This you will get in Linux administration code, not in shell scripting codes. Okay, so MNT contains partitions and their mounted directories information. Means which partition is linked with which directory. That information is maintained by MNT. Run contains external devices information. External hard disk, external DVD writers. Its removable devices information is maintained by run from version 7 onwards. Up to version 6, media contains external devices information. From version 7, kernel contains, run contains external devices information, means removable devices information, also kernel. Kernel also maintained by run from version 7 up to version 6. Boot contains kernel. From version 7, run contains kernel. I am repeating this again. Forward slash. Forward slash is a parent directory or top level directory in Linux. Forward slash is similar to C in Windows. It is similar to C in Windows. So forward slash contains subdirectories. Directory means folder. Okay. So first subdirectory under forward slash is root. Root is the home directory for super user. As a super user, you logged in, means administrator. As an administrator, if you log in and if you created any files or directories, the data is going to store under root. Okay. Home contains, home is the home directory for normal user. As a normal user, you logged in into your computer and if you create any files or directories, the data is going to store under home. Boot contains bootable files and kernel. Bootable files and kernel is stored under boot. Kernel is stored under boot up to version 6. Sbin contains super user commands. Sbin contains super user commands. Okay, bin contains normal user commands. I'm repeating. Root is the home directory for super user. Ma'am, what is bin? Root is a directory. Root is the home directory for super user. Means as an administrator, if you log in into computer and if you're creating any files or directories, the data is going to store under root. Home is a home directory for normal user. If you log in as a normal user and if you create any files or directories, the data is going to store under home. Okay, and boot contains bootable files. Operating system bootable files are stored under boot. And kernel also stored under boot. Up to version 6, kernel is stored under boot. What is this kernel? We have separate class. At the time, you will get clear understanding. So boot contains bootable files and kernel. Sbin contains super user commands. The commands which can be executed by super user. That commands are stored under Sbin. Okay, bin contains normal user commands, the commands which can be executed by normal user. That commands are stored under bin. USR contains default applications, applications which comes under, USR contains default applications, applications which comes along with operating system. That applications are stored under USR. Where contains variable files, system log files are stored under where. Dev contains devices information, means partition information is stored under dev. etc contains configuration files, system configuration files are stored under etc. opt contains optional applications, applications which we install manually. That applications are stored under opt. Media contains external devices information and kernel information. Kernel information, it stores up to, sorry, media contains external devices information, only external devices information, removable devices information, removable hard disk, removable DVD writer, pen drives information is stored under media up to version 6. MNT contains which partition is linked with which directory. That information is maintained by MNT. And run contains external devices information and kernel information from RHEL 7 version. Up to RHEL 6, boot contains kernel and media contains external devices information from RHEL version 7. Run contains kernel and external devices information. So these are the default directories we have in Linux. Is this clear, Reddy? Just check it once. Any doubts, ask me. I will repeat. And these notes also I will share. If you want me to repeat or if you want me to ask something, you can ask. I will explain. If you're clear, that's fine. Are you clear with this directories? Yes. Ready? Are you clear with this directories? Which directory is used for which purpose? Is that clear? Okay. Which directory you are not clear? All the directories are not clear or any specific directory? Shall I explain all the directories again? Mr. Reddy, can you respond fast because time is going to finish? Shall I explain all the directories? Or any specific directory or not clear? Reddy, are you there? Shall I explain all the directories again? See, I'm repeating forward slash. I'm going slow. Please concentrate. Forward slash. It is a parent directory or top level directory in Linux. It is similar to C in Windows. Under forward slash, we have these all subdirectories. These all directories are comes under forward slash. Okay, so next is root. Root is the home directory for super user. Super user means administrator. As a super user, you logged in into computer and you are creating any files or directories. The data is going to store under root. Home is the home directory for normal user. As a normal user, you logged in into computer and you are creating any files or directories. The data is going to store under home. Boot contains bootable files and kernel. Kernel up to version 6 stored under boot. As bin contains super user commands, the commands which can be executed by super user. That commands are stored under sbin. Bin contains normal user commands, the commands which can be executed by normal user. That commands are stored under bin. USR contains default applications, applications which comes along with operating system. That applications are stored under USR. Where contains log files, system log files are stored under where. Like how many users are logged in task manager, it is like how many users are logged in at all the process they did, timings, what are the commands they executed, every information is stored under where. Dev contains devices information, means partitions information. How many partitions are created, what is the size of the partition, what is the free space, every information is maintained by dev. etc contains configuration file. System configuration files are stored under etc. OPT contains optional applications, applications which we install manually. They are not compulsory to install. If we want, we install some applications, softwares. That applications are stored under OPT. Media contains external devices information and kernel external devices information and up to version 6. Media contains external devices information, means removable devices information. Like external hard disk means removable hard disk, external DVD writers, pen drives information is stored under media up to version 6. MNT contains partitions and their mounted directories information. Which partition is linked with which directory? That information is maintained by MNT. And run contains external devices information and kernel information from version 7 onwards. Okay, so these are the directories we have in Linux. And these directories we use regularly in our further sessions. Okay, so at that time you will see these directories also. And tomorrow there is a practical session, OS installation. And after that, regularly practicals will be there, like basic commands, everything. So when I am explaining practicals, at that time, I will explain theoretically and practically also I will show. And these notes I will share on the Telegram. Okay, this I will share on the Telegram. The points which I explained, I'll make a note and I will share with you on Telegram once you register with this course. But tomorrow OS installation, I'm going to show you practically and also basic commands. Okay, basic commands we will explain. When I am explaining basic commands, I will show you practically also. I'll make a note, I'll explain, I will show you practically also, and I'll make a note and I will share to Telegram group. And the Telegram group you will link, you will get from DURGASOFT Reddy garu. You'll get it from DURGASOFT. Once you register with this course, they will give the Telegram link. So once you get the link, you can join into this group. Okay, this is a private group. Only this batch students will be there in that group. Okay, so there, if you have any doubts also, you can ask me in the Telegram group. For notes, I will share to Telegram group. Also, if you have any doubts, you can ask me on the Telegram group. These points, what I explained is clear. Notes, no need to worry about the notes. I will give you notepad. I will make a note. I will share this to your Telegram group. Okay. Points I explained is clear, right? So thank you so much for this session. I'll share the notes to Telegram once you join into the Telegram group. And the next session is OS installation. Okay. Thank you so much for the session.